Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Aurora, and I am a member of the Democratic Women of the Prescott area. Welcome, everyone, to the 2023 Beyond Roe Women's March. Before we get started, I want to remind everybody that there's a lot of people who couldn't be with us here today, who would love to be with us here today. So please, could you be taking pictures, videos, and posting on social media? If we, whatever you have, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, whatever your social media of choice is, please hashtag Prescott Women's March 2023, and also put in there the name of the organization you're affiliated, whether it's Democratic Women, whether it's Prescott Indivisible, Yavapai Democrats, or whatever group you're affiliated with. And put it out there, tweet, retweet, send it out, let people know we're here. It's really important, not just for friends and neighbors, but also for people who need to know that we're here, our elected officials. We need to let them know that not only are we strong, but we won't be silenced, and social media is an effective way to do that. Okay, so today is the 50th anniversary of the passage of Roe versus Wade, and we thought we had a constitutional right to abortion. Well, big surprise. The post-Roe people, all those anti-choice, anti-abortion people were marching on Friday, and the House Majority Leader, Steve Scalise said, hey, guess what? We're only done with the first phase of the battle. The next phase is that we intend to use state legislatures to outlaw abortion and to outlaw reproductive freedom. So we're here not in a post-Roe era. We are here beyond Roe.
Beyond Roe.
What does beyond Roe mean? Beyond Roe means we're making a commitment to a renewed strategy, to enhance action, to be able to expand healthcare to make it accessible, equitable, and inclusive, to support providers and patients, to strengthen legal protections, and to meet demand throughout Arizona. And also to raise public awareness and education. Stories about what the right to privacy means to us, how complicated reproductive choices often are that we make, and how the sanctity of us being able to make our choices based on our values and not politicians du jour is absolutely critical. So, we have 6 speakers with us who are going to share their perspectives on this. Each one of them is going to get 3 minutes. I'm going to wave them off politely with my peace flag. But to kick us off is a woman who absolutely needs no introduction. She's been an activist and on the front lines here locally, at the state, and also nationally. So I give to you the chair of the Democratic Women, Judy Stoll.
Thank you, Aurora. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. An important day to be here. I've only got 3 minutes, so I do want to thank you all for being here and let you know that the Democratic Women of the Prescott area welcomes you to join us. We welcome women, we welcome men, we welcome all genders to participate so that we can all be together and know that we've got others who feel like we do, and then from there take effective action. So here's my little deal. Today's the 50th anniversary of the Roe v. Wade decision, in which the United States Supreme Court established into federal law that a woman has a right to privacy to make decisions in consultation with her physician and free of interference from government about her reproductive health. Up until this time, up until 1973, it's estimated that there were between 200,000 and 1.2 million illegal abortions performed every year in America. 50 years ago, I had just turned 13 years old. For my entire reproductively active life, I never had to worry about access to reproductive health care. I took it for granted because it was established in law as my right. Now, an extreme right-wing Supreme Court, with 3 out of 9 of the justices appointed by an ex-president who is a con man and a criminal, wiped away a fundamental right to make decisions about our bodies that American women have lived and expected for 50 years. my daughter now has less rights in this country than I did, we have gone backwards. The impact of this blatant betrayal of half of the citizens of this nation left our state, Arizona, with an extreme, draconian law banning abortion that was put on the books in the 1860s, in the territorial days, and I'm not kidding. In recent years, Arizonans have become very aware of the power of our vote. Arizona is the quintessential swing state. We made our voices heard in 2022 when we elected Katie Hobbs as our new governor. And Chris Mays as our new Attorney General, who each ran on a commitment to protect women's rights. And let me just say, out of over 2.5 million votes cast, Chris Mays won the position of Attorney General, where she will protect our rights by 280 votes. Wow. So, along with electing Adrian Fontes as our Secretary of State, these great leaders will go a long way to protecting our rights, and you did that by voting. However, Arizona's state legislature is run by the most extreme right-wing extremists anywhere in the United States. They live on conspiracy theories and bully tactics that are still condoned by elected leaders, particularly here in our district. People from all different backgrounds and political persuasions in Arizona voted for Democrats who will protect a woman's right to bodily autonomy. We in Arizona will succeed through standing up for the truth, organizing with each other to register citizens to vote, and to increase the awareness of the power of their vote and organizing to make a difference. We also have to have great candidates run for office, and I do want to mention that Kathy, where are you? Kathy Rusing is our city council member who's running again, and we must support Kathy. It doesn't matter what your party is, it matters that you support women's rights. So our job, we are the government. We are the government. When I vote and you don't vote, my vote counts double. When I vote and 75,000 others do not, like 75,000 people did not vote in the Attorney General spot on the ballot. They voted for others, but they didn't vote for Attorney General, and Chris Mays won by 280 votes. So when they don't vote, my vote ends up counting for tens or thousands. And I will make sure that our job continues to be to gather together, stand for the truth, organize to get out every single vote and support excellent candidates. DWPA is committed to this. We're happy to be on the steering committee for this event today. We invite you to join us and continue to do the work to protect the rights of all citizens of Arizona and our great nation. Arizona is a shining star of hope and courage to our whole nation. Thank you for being a part of ensuring that we will continue to be that shining star for my daughter, for your daughters, and for our future. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy. Again, please remember, I need you to get out there and start posting social media, let people know what's going on here at the courthouse today. Sundrop, where are you? Hi. Next we have Sundrop. She's a member of the steering committee for Prescott Indivisible, and she's going to address us today on the aspect of human rights as well in this fight.
Thank you. I do love a good timekeeper, so thank you. Thank you everyone for being here today. It's always great to see good turnout at events like this. So several folks today are going to talk to you about voting and the importance of voting and policies. I want to talk to you about freedom and envisioning the world that we want to live in. So for me, when I think of Beyond Roe, it means first recognizing that Roe was never good enough. It never ensured that all women and pregnant people would have safe and accessible reproductive health care or access to abortion. It never protected Black women, Indigenous women, disabled women, immigrant women, or trans folks from sexual and reproductive violence. Roe was never enough. So Beyond Roe means we have the opportunity to envision what freedom and liberation looks like to us, and to fight for what we actually need in this world. And so what is that? Unfortunately, I am not the supreme leader of the world, so I don't actually get to decide this, but a few ideas. One, full civil and human rights for women and trans folks. universal access to preferably free reproductive health care, including abortion, community-based support for survivors of domestic and sexual violence, universal child care, universal basic income to ensure that no one lives in poverty, free and affordable housing for all. These are just a few ideas, and I could go on, but I would exceed my 3 minutes. So how do we get to this better world? First, we must be clear that to create this world, we need to look for leadership to those communities and folks who have consistently been excluded and left behind and silenced. Indigenous women, disabled women, Black women, immigrant women, and trans folks. And second, we must make time to dream and look beyond the immediate crisis and the next election. Together we can win what we fight for. So if we only fight for small things and tweaks to an unjust system, we will only win small things and tweaks to unjust systems. But if we dream big and fight for those dreams, we can change the world. So my call to action to all of you today, because I'm an organizer at heart, and so I'm going to ask you to do something, is as we march today, talk to the people around you and ask them, what is the world that they want to live in? What is their vision for the world beyond Roe? And what does full human rights look like for all women, all trans folks, all people? Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Sandra. I'm going to shift this over here to be in the sun a little because this is being recorded. So if I could ask you to maybe move on this side or back there a little bit. I think this call to action is really important, and also this question of what does beyond Roe mean to you? Good question to post an answer to on social media. So please do that. The next speaker we have is Michelle Day. She's the vice chair for political action at the Yavapai County Democratic Party, and she's going to talk about the importance not only of voting, but also running for political office. So.
Thank you. Thanks for coming out in the cold. All right, women have power and rights. There are men and even some women who fear this power. Because of that fear, they do all sorts of things to attempt to convince women they do not possess this power and work to take away women's rights. To claim, proclaim, and exercise our power and rights, we must vote. Encourage others to register and vote. Run for office at any level. Volunteer your time, donate, and show up like you have today. These actions and intent move the needle forward in the progress for bodily autonomy and democracy. The 22 midterm results have proven what we can accomplish, and we must keep the momentum going, and seats cannot go unopposed. The Yavapai County Democratic Party, we are here to support you should you decide to run for office. We welcome volunteers, your donations, and we are here to listen and empower you. When I responded to a direct mail postcard last summer to come and sign petitions, I did not foresee that months later I would be speaking to you today from the courthouse. I didn't. Feeling compelled to do something along with wonderful support from others within the party and taking action to be involved has positively changed my life. I encourage each of you to think about your time, your talents, your treasure, and how you can contribute. You are powerful. We all are. We all have it, and we need to exercise and show it. And we need you now more than ever. Thank you. Yay! Thank you, Michelle.
Next, we're moving on to the community activist speakers now. Next, we are going to have Peggy Glenn address you. Peggy has spent the last 55 years on the front lines fighting for progress, and she's going to share a story that illustrates how the unexpected can happen to anyone, to any one of us, and a woman's right to choose is paramount. So, Peggy.
Woo. Hey everybody. I like to eat the mic. Is it too loud?
No!
They call that eating the mic.
Eat it.
I've been at this since 1968, and I was already a grown-ass adult.
Ah.
That was when I signed up for the National Organization for Women. I've been collecting women's stories for decades because they're important. They need to be respected, collected, preserved, and understood.
Yeah.
I want to tell you a two-generational story. It's a composite of one woman with some people and with one person and some details muddled so that this person's story is never, ever violated. At 25, this woman in 1969 had a hernia repair, and at the time, she was divorced. So her husband did not have to sign for a possible oophorectomy, possible hysterectomy. After this, she was told she was likely infertile. Roe, 1973. Didn't fix that problem. In 1974, this woman entered a fairy tale romance. She's now 30. She's got a 10-year-old girl and a 7-year-old boy. So much for infertility, right? That was before the surgery. So she meets up with a 35-year-old widower who's got 12-year-old twin boys. They decide no more kids. You can take that noise somewhere else, buddy. I'm louder than you. They decided no kids. But just in case, he had a vasectomy. She's supposedly infertile, but guess what? 3 weeks after his vasectomy, she discovers she's pregnant. It's now 1974, right? She's not married yet. She still doesn't need consent. The two of them go to the doctor and the man and the woman make the decision. And no one else needs to know. No boss, no family, no friends, nobody. It's private. Well, take this story and let's go another 8 years later. The oldest girl, the girl, is now 18. She's sexually active. She's already asked her mom to take her to the clinic to get birth control pills, but it was a little bit after she'd already been sexually active and she has an ectopic pregnancy. Mom takes care of taking her to the doctor. No dads need to show up, but the insurance won't pay for the surgery because the reproductive products of pregnancy for minor children on the insurance policy are not covered. What the ever-loving? Fill it in. Please respect our stories. Please respect our rights. We are people. We deserve to make our decisions in private. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Peggy. Now we're going to have Barbara Jacobson. She has 35 years of combined professional and volunteer experience as a nurse, counselor, and teacher, understands how key communication is, and that these issues about pregnancy, reproductive rights, really are very complicated on a lot of levels, and in particular the emotional level. So,
Thank you. Actually 50 years, but only 35 in this community. Yeah, no. It's hard to believe. Don't tell my kids. We heard Reverend Stratmore talk at the MLK Day, and it was really important for me to hear that we have these rights. We already have them. She repeated over and over again, all means all.
Yeah.
All are equal, all have rights. She even said we don't really need to change the Constitution. We already have it. So what's the problem? Do you know that women, I was reading a book last night, women were not allowed to enter Antarctica until 1969, and the men were there in 1911. Okay? Why was that? Gee. So, we have our rights, but we don't have our rights. And that's what we're here today about. Is that better? If I, eat the mic? Okay. I worked in this town with teen moms for over 7 years, teen parents. And if you have a 14-year-old who's raped or incested, or who chooses to get pregnant misguidedly in order to have something to love her, then you have an issue. And if she is not given the ability to have that abortion or do whatever she wants, she is going to, that is life-changing. That could be an absolute disaster. So I'm sorry if I offend a few people in here, but old white men may say, well, she can just put that baby up for adoption. And women say that too. She can just put that baby up for adoption. There are, as an old social worker, nurse, teacher, counselor, blah, 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 there are so many reasons why she's not going to do that. And I'm not going to stand here and bore you for an hour and a half and tell you all those possible reasons. But there are so many reasons she will probably not do that. Okay, so the program I worked here in town was the earliest child abuse prevention program I got to do because the babies were in utero. And we got to work with the moms for years. So prevention is important. And by the way, I wrote my first paper on national health insurance when I was a 19-year-old student nurse. I've been waiting. We've got something now, but we don't have enough. So compassion is needed. I want to stick that word in here. Besides all means all, we all have rights. Compassion is needed. So people have to have compassion for somebody outside of them. Okay? Because if you just think about, well, I'm fine, who cares about them? This will never get resolved. We have to have compassion for that 14-year-old or that 16-year-old or that 45-year-old or the story Peggy just told. We have to have compassion, and then we can move forward.
Yeah.
I had a friend in Florida. I just did a road trip, and I met these people last year, and I knew they were a little conservative, but he comes up to me and said, okay, let me ask you, very intelligent couple. He says, babies are being aborted at full term. Now, I've heard that. We've had marches around here before where the anti-abortion people are screaming back, but you're aborting them at full term. And I said, that has never happened. So he listened to me. He said, I heard it on the news, and he's an intelligent man. And I said, go check your sources. So when you talk, when Roe was overturned, I was in Texas in a small town, and I got up and spoke. They said, anybody want to come up here? You are all educators. I dub you all educators. All of you. And you get to take somebody to coffee, and you get to have a conversation with them. But first you get to listen to them. You get to find out where they got that information. You get to find out what their beliefs are, and then you get to have a conversation. And you get to plant a seed of doubt for some of what their beliefs or what information they may have. And you get to talk about that 14-year-old who needs the options. God forbid they take away birth control. We don't, we'll be rioting in the streets, I think. But you've got to talk to people. You've got to listen to people. You've got to have compassion. You've got to help people understand. You've got to role model that compassion. That's all I got to say. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. So before I bring up our last speaker, we've got literally about 2 minutes. So if anybody out here in the audience has a burning desire to say something for 10, 15, 20 seconds, make a thought they want to share, a comment, now's your moment. Here's the mic. Anybody? Or just shout it out. Love me? Oh, that's I'll take it.
Love you all.
No, but okay. Well, I hope that you will follow up on Barbara's suggestion. And as we're walking, let's start with ourselves. Let's start asking each other why we've come today, why this is important, what Beyond Roe means to us, and take a selfie and post it on social media. So then I will bring up our last speaker, Kathleen Sauer, who is the vice chair of the Democratic Women. She is an attorney by training, so she looks at this from a legal perspective, but also for what it means for us here at the community. And the bottom line is, it's a call to action. Get ready, folks. We're not allowed to sit here and rest. It's time to get to work. So let me turn it over to Kathleen.
Hi, everybody. I'm
Hi.
getting the microphone. Can you hear me? All right, thanks for coming out. I know it's cold. I'm the last speaker. Then we march, then we go. So, we stand on the shoulders of all the women and men who marched over 50 years ago to secure the ruling in Roe versus Wade. We never thought that ruling would be overturned, but the Republican Party and the Christian nationalists never stopped in their quest to overturn Roe. Last year, they achieved their goal. No matter that they did so through blatant political power plays and lies told by certain SCOTUS nominees to the U.S. Senate, regardless, they achieved their wish. Roe is no longer the law of the land, and the rights of pregnant people are now at the mercy of state governments. We have achieved what many thought was nearly impossible in the state of Arizona. We elected Democrats to the governorship, the Secretary of State, and to the Attorney General. Everybody here should be rightly proud of this achievement. I know all of you worked really hard. It was due in large part to the efforts we put forth right here in Yavapai County, right here in the city of Prescott. Yes. We cannot rest, however. The current state of the law for abortion in Arizona is a 15-week ban. This is unacceptable. We cannot rest until the protections of Roe are codified in Arizona law and into federal law. Yes. Now, along those lines, before I continue, I have a call to action for everybody. I don't know how many of you are on request to speak. If you're not on it, go to Civic Engagement Beyond Voting website, get on it. Because there is a bill in the Senate Elections Committee, SCR 1002. Write that down, remember it. They are trying to take away our right to amend the Constitution by a majority vote. Katie Hobbs cannot veto this bill. So if you're not on request to speak, get on it. But if you're not on it right today, what I want you to do when you go home is I want you to find out who's on the Elections Committee. And I'm going to tell you right now who's on it, Ken Bennett. And I want each and every one of you to send an email to that Ken Bennett and tell him this is unacceptable, that he is trying to take away the voice of the people.
Yeah.
Cannot rest. The anti-abortion side is not resting. They are hell-bent on imposing their personal beliefs about abortion on an entire nation. They are backed by fervent disciples and gobs of money. We have only ourselves, but guess what? We will prevail.
Yes.
We are stronger than they are, and our cause is just.
Yeah.
Our cause is the freedom for all pregnant people to determine the direction of their lives and to access essential health care. There's no compromise on this. It simply must be, and we must fight until it is. Abortion is necessary health care, full stop, and all pregnant people should have right to access this health care. We wish we did not have to wage this fight again, that Roe would still be the law of the land. Now the mantle of history is thrust upon us, and we must rise to the call. We must continue to support Democratic candidates. We must march. We must call and knock on doors, write postcards, give our time and our money. We must. And send the emails to Ken Bennett. Ken Bennett. We are here to make history again. It will not be easy. It will not be quick. The alternative, however, is unacceptable. So everybody, let's march!
Yeah. Right.